I think that there is a risk during times of economic downturn, as we're in now, that countries would try to take protectionist measures as part of their efforts to recover from the downturn. So, for example, many countries are doing economic stimulus bills, fiscal stimulus, where they're trying to improve the activity in their economy. And there's a danger that as part of those, they may try to use protectionist measures. So, history tells us that that is really sort of exactly the opposite thing of what you want to be doing. So there's some historical evidence that protectionism in the past actually worsened economic downturns. My research has looked at the effects of different electoral systems on protectionism. And so what I look at is, do countries that have what's called a majoritarian system, where you have legislators who are based in certain geographic districts, are the protectionists, is that type of system more protectionist than a country where you have what's called a proportional system, where legislators are elected more broadly? And the idea here is that legislators may try to direct benefits to their home districts. And my evidence shows that, yes, that is the case. So when a legislator goes to the National Congress and sets policy, they may act as if they wanted to direct benefits to their own home district. So to the extent that the downturn makes protectionism more likely, it is possible that you would see an exaggeration of this effect. Trade theory tells us that trade is beneficial for all countries involved. So, all of the different countries are going to benefit. Essentially, the idea is that if countries are able to specialize in what they're best at, what they're most competitive at, then all countries are going to benefit. The difficulty comes, I think, when we observe trade liberalization. Different groups are affected differently. So, for example, some groups are going to be adversely affected by increased imports in certain sectors. So certain people in those sectors may lose their jobs. So what theory tells us, though, is that there's going to be gains in other sectors. So overall, trade liberalization is going to be good, but there could be some sort of transition effects that make things more difficult for certain groups. Generally, I think that increased integration is a good thing. One concern, however, is that I think ideally we would come to some sort of resolution in broad multilateral agreements, such as in the World Trade Organization. And the Doha round is currently ongoing. It's been having some problems getting resolved. And I favor this regional integration, but only if it does not sort of adversely affect the efforts toward multilateral liberalization. Generally, lobbies try to convince the government to enact policies that would be in the interests of those particular lobbies. To the extent that we're sort of in a time of economic downturn, it's possible that those lobbies would be even more eager to try to get certain measures put in place that would protect their particular interests. So, for example, tariffs, quotas, some other kind of protectionist measures that they may feel would help them during this time of economic adversity. In the United States, it is the case that there are special interest groups that try to convince the government to do one policy versus the other. And this type of activity has been around for a long time.